بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome dear students. This is Miss Layla Al-Jihani. Inshallah today we will continue our lesson, our unit, Drive Slowly. Today we will cover lesson 9, the reading. Before we start, let's recall what we covered in our previous lesson. In our previous lesson we covered about you. We asked questions and we answered it one by one. The answers were based on you and your life. Also, we covered the conversation. We had a conversation between two men, and we elicited the real talk. We learned their new meaning. How do we use these phrases? Inshallah, and also we did practice the conversation. We wrote our own conversation. As you can see, we wrote it between Sarah and Muhammad. If we want to recall what we cover, inshallah, today in our lesson, by the end of it, you will be reading the text, which is right, right. This is the title of our text that we will cover, inshallah, today. Also, you will be scanned the reading for details. You will answer the questions based on the reading. Also, you will answer questions related to the text. This is the things we will cover, inshallah, in our lesson today, okay? Before we start, let's look at these pictures. When you look at these pictures, where do you think these, here, when they say on which side, the first question, of the road do people drive in your country? Think about our country. The driver in our country, does he drive from the right side or the left side? Which side? Yes, the left side. So the people in our country, they drive on the left. The second question, in which side of the road do people usually walk? The sidewalk usually. Where do we find it? On the left or on the right? Excellent, on the right. The people walk on the right. We have other countries. Not all the countries follow the same rules. Some people, they drive on the right. Some people, they walk on the left. So it differs, these, from one country to another. Okay, we have this first paragraph of our reading. I divided the reading into paragraphs. And I wrote questions under every paragraph, okay? So you should answer these questions based on the reading. Let's read the questions first. The first question, how much of the world drives on the left? Okay? How much of the world? Are they half, 3/4, 1/4? So based on the reading, you should find the answer. The second question, were all of the colonies that drives on the left British colonies? Are they all follow the British country? When we say colonies, what do we mean about colonies? Colonies are small countries. They follow a big, powerful country. They are under that country and they follow the rules of that country. So we have British colonies. In England, do people drive and stand on the same side or different side? Are they all drive and walk on the right, or they drive on the right and walk on the left? What do you think? These answers should be based on the reading. Let's hear the text together. Bismillah.
Why must you drive on the right side of the road in some countries and on the left side of the road in other countries? Investigate the question, and you find a lot of confusion on right versus left. About a quarter of the world drives on the left, and most of those countries used to be British colonies. In England, people drive on the left, but on escalators they stand on the right, so that people who are in a hurry can go up on the left. In Japan, they drive on the left, too, but people usually stand on the left on escalators.
Okay, we heard the text together. Now let's answer the questions. For the first question, they said how much of the world drives on the left. From the text, scan the text for the answer. What do you think the answer is? Excellent, about a quarter of the world drives on the left. This is the answer for the first question, okay? طيب, the question 2, we have, were all of the countries that drives on the left British colonies? The question should be yes or no. So for the second question, the answer is What do you think? Yes or no? Yes, excellent. You should write no, they weren't. Okay, this is the question, the answer for question 2. What about the third question? This one, the third question. What should we write? What do you think? In England, do people drive and stand on the same side or different sides? Excellent. We should write different sides. So we write different sides. Okay, this is the answer for question 3. Okay, now let's read the second paragraph. We have 2 questions based on this paragraph. Is there only one explanation of right versus left? People standing on the left or driving on the left, people standing on the right and driving on the right. Is there one explanation for it, or we have many explanations? Okay. The second question, why do people believe it is natural to walk or drive on the right? Some people, they believe it's natural. Why do you think they say that? Okay, we should find out the answer from this text. Let's hear it together. Bismillah.
There are different explanations for the use of right versus left. Some people believe that it is a natural tendency to walk or drive on the right. This is because most people are right-handed.
Okay, we heard the text and we read the question together. So for the first question, we will highlight it, we will not write it down. Is there only one explanation of right versus left? No, they said here from the first sentence, there are different explanations. Okay, we have more than one explanation, we have different explanations. Now for the second question, why do some people believe it is natural to walk or drive on the right? Because what? What do you think? Excellent, because most people are right-handed. They use their right hand in their everyday life. Now let's read the third paragraph together and we answer these 3 questions. Okay, we have the first question. On which side did people use to ride their horses? Now we're not talking about cars, we're talking about historical events. How did it started? We're talking about horses. Okay, why did people use to ride horses on the left? What is the reason they gave us? Okay, where did marching on the left become a law? It started, but when did it become a law? You have to tell me the time. Let's read the text together. Bismillah.
We can look back in history for reasons people move on the right or left of the road. Some people say that in Europe hundreds of years ago, people rode their horses on the left. This way, their sword was between them and anyone who was coming toward them in the opposite direction. They were ready to pull out their sword and fight to defend themselves with their right arm. There is also evidence that ancient Greek, Egyptian, and Roman troops used to march on the left side. And in Rome, they made it a law in the 1300s. So when and why did the right side become popular?
Okay, so we read this paragraph. For the first question, on which side did people use to ride their horses? From the text, from which side? They mentioned it in the first 2 statements. Excellent, they used to ride it on the left. So people rode their horses on the left. This is the answer for the first question. Question 2, why did people used to ride horses on the left? Why do you think they did that? Yeah, excellent, because when they are fighting and they pull out their swords when they fight, they are using their right hand. So that's why they rode on the left. So they were ready to pull out their swords and fight to defend themselves with their right arm. Because they are right-handed, they have to ride on the left. Where did marching on the left become a law? Here they are looking for a time. So when do you think it become a law? When or where? Sorry, here they are looking for a place. Excellent. In Rome. In Rome it become a law when it is in the 1300s. Okay, this is when. But the question here they are asking for where. So it's in Rome. Okay, let's move on to the next paragraph. Okay, we have 5 questions for this paragraph. What did people in France and the US start to use in the 1700s? What did they started to use? Where did the drivers sit? Where did they drive their wagons? Okay, wagons, it's a synonym for cars. Why was it safer to drive on the right? Does everyone agree with the wagon explanation? So we have an explanation. Do everyone agree with it or they have a different opinion? Let's hear the paragraph together.
One idea is that in the 1700s, people in France and in the United States started to use wagons with several pairs of horses and to drive on the right side of the road. It was easier for the drivers to sit on the left and control the horses with a whip in the right hand, and it was safer if other vehicles passed on the left so the drivers could see the distance between vehicles. Some people say that in England, people always drove on the left, and in France, people always drove on the right.
Okay, so here the first we read the text together. Now you have to scan for the answers. What did people in France and the US start to use in the 1700s? They started to use what? Here, France and the US, they started to, excellent, use wagons, okay? With the several pairs of horses. So wagons with horses is the answer for the first question, okay? Where did the drivers sit? They sit here. It was easier for the drivers to sit on the left, to sit on the left, okay? And the third question, where did they drive their wagons? So where did they drive it? They drive it in which side of the street? They drove it on the right. They drove it in the right side, okay? So here we have to write, they drove it in the right side, okay? The fourth question, why was it safer to drive on the right? They mentioned a reason. It's safer. Why is it safer? They said safer, so we have to look for safer. It was safer if other vehicle pass on the left so the drivers could see the distance between vehicles. This is the answer for question 4. The last question, does everyone agree with the wagon explanation? Do they all agree with this explanation or no? No, they don't. So we say no, not all the people agree with it. We write down no, okay? Now let's move on to the other paragraph. In any case, we will read this paragraph. We have 3 questions. Why did the people of France drive on the right in the early 1800s? We have to look for the reason people drive on the right side. Which other countries did what France did? So which other countries they follow the same rule of France, driving on the right? Why didn't England do what Napoleon said? England, they followed Napoleon. Why do you think they did that? Let's hear the text together.
In any case, Napoleon, a ruler of France, ordered people to drive on the right side in the early 1800s. France conquered many countries at that time, and so these countries drove on the right. But France didn't conquer England, so England kept its custom of driving on the left.
Okay, so here, why did the people of France drive on the right in the 1800s? Because what? Who ordered people to drive on the right side? Excellent. The ruler of France ordered people to drive on the right side. This is the answer for the first question. Now for the second question, which other country did what France did? All the countries drove on the right. They were they were conquered by France. So France conquered many countries at the time. So these countries drove on the right. So any country under France were conquered under France, they followed the same rule. The third question, why did England do what Napoleon said? Why did they disagree? England kept its customs of driving on the left. They did because Napoleon didn't conquer England. So the France, they didn't conquer England. England kept their customs of driving. Okay, now let's move on to the sixth paragraph. Together we have two questions. Why did more cars change to the right in the 20th century? Many cars changed to the right. Why? You have to give me a reason. The second question, when did people in Sweden start driving on the right? When did it happen? We're looking for a time. So let's hear the text together.
In the 20th century, there was a trend to the right. Many cars were made in the United States, and they were made for driving on the right side of the road. As recently as 1967, Sweden changed its laws. Now people in Sweden must drive on the right. So right or left? Just follow the customs of the country where you are, and be sure to drive carefully on that side.
Okay, we have these two questions. Why did more cars change to the right? Because what? Here in the 20th century, there was a trend of the right because many cars were made in the United States. Okay, so United States, they made their car on the right side. That's why they manufactured a lot of cars, so many people, they followed the same rule. When here we're looking for a time, when did people in Sweden start driving on the right? They mentioned the time here in the 1967. Now, after reading, we have this question. You have to answer it true or false. Based on all the information, all the questions we answered. The first question, in England, people drive on the left. Is this statement true or false? In Japan, people drive on the right and walk on the left. Is this statement true or false? Question 3, in France, people probably always drove on the right. Question 4, many countries use left or right because of England and France. 5, some countries changed to driving on the right. What do you think the answers is for number 1? What do you think? The statement is true or false? Excellent, it is true. So think about it, scan the text, pause the video, scan the text for the answers, and let's see it together. For the first statement, the answer is true. The second statement, false. 3, false. 4, true. 5, true. Okay? Now for the last exercise we have here, match and find the meaning of the word in bold, type from the reading. Okay, so we have these statements and we have these statements, we have to match A and B, okay? Historians investigated questions about past events. They read old records to find answers. What do you think historians mean? Okay, from you can look at your book and you can try to match, pause the video, try to match the meaning with the questions. Compare your answers with your friends and let's see the answers together. For question 1E, which is study and research. Study and research. Investigated, it means study and research. Question 2B, there is some confusion over the history of the use of the right and the left. People aren't sure of what happened. The answer is B, uncertain about what happened. 3, the answer is A, took control of all countries, city, through the use of force. Question 4, the answer is D, something that is usually done. The last question 5, the answer is C, which is a direction of change and tendency. Okay, this is the answer for A and B related to the question. The last part we have here is the discussion. Inshallah, we will do it next class since we don't have time to do it this class. For your homework, I want you to do page 99. And if we want to recall what we covered in our lesson today, we had questions and we read the text. We answered these questions based on the text. We scanned the text for the information. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and inshallah I will see you next class.